Go right down. Hi everyone, we're live. Let's do an audio check, just make sure everybody can hear me. Yeah, doggy's lying down. You can hear me, can't you? It just took a while for this to... Aha! Hi everyone, how you doing? Boy, have I got I've got some great news for you guys and girls tonight. Honestly, there's some fantastic news. You're all gonna love it. First things first, do you like my shirt? Hawaiian shirt. This was given to me by my friend 10 years ago. My friend who killed himself. And he killed himself today, 10 years ago. And I wear it on October the 14th every year. So yeah, that's why I'm wearing the shirt, just in case anybody wants to take the piss out of me. Which is interesting really, because this week the UK we're the first country in the world to have a minister for suicide prevention. Things are so bad suicide wise in this country. Something. Hi everyone. Hi Jimbo, Keith, Duncan, James. Hi everyone. Yeah, it's a bit laggy, I'm sorry about that. Possible buffering. I just want to make sure that everything's okay with this stream really. Big week in politics ahead, Gordon says, Martin. Yes, there is. Wednesday we've got a big Brexit thing happening. And unless they can come to some sort of deal with regards to Brexit by Wednesday, in a deal in principle, yeah, the shit's gonna hit the fan. I think they'll try and extend it. To be honest, I think they'll extend it. I've got a lot of videos actually in the works for this week. There's obviously that video on the Minister for Suicide Prevention, which is a subject which is dear to my heart. I've got a video coming up on Bellingcat that I've been researching. For those of you who don't know who Bellingcat is, Bellingcat are the open sources that Theresa May and the Tories used as a pretext for bombing the crap out of Syria a while ago. Bellingcat is a shady organisation, to say the least, without going into too many details of who they are. Think of them as the white helmets of information. That's basically who they are. The suicide officer has no money or mandate. Yep, that's going to be the main topic of the video. Really, it's something that they have. It creates the illusion as if they're doing something about it, which they're not. I've also got Venezuela. I did a first part of a 3-part series on Venezuela quite some time ago, and I just haven't had a chance to do the rest of it. I've got Venezuela parts 2 and 3 coming up this week, and some of you will be pissed off at this, other people will be overjoyed, but climate change part 4 will definitely be... I've just seen that Jimmy Dawes just dropped a video. Thanks, Jimmy. I'll take half my viewers away from me. Yeah, climate change is going to be dropping this week, hopefully, as well. And I'm also hoping to get an interview with somebody who has got extensive knowledge on the Rohingya genocide, which is it's a subject that I wanted to cover in depth for quite some time, but I didn't know enough about it, and there was so much other stuff going on. There's only so much time I have in the day, so I want to get somebody in who knows about the story to, you know, inform you all exactly what's going on. Brexit will never happen, it's not allowed, says the Funkadelic fan. Lots of people think that, especially if you look back at other referendums that have gone on within the EU. I've covered that many times. I would call the shirt the Truth Phoenix, says Wayne. I think I'm going to call it, yeah, the Truth Phoenix. I like that. Colin Duash, hi Gordon, nice shirt and sorry to hear about your friend. Thanks very much. I know you're not on Facebook, but they seem to be doing live censorship chats being taken down on the spot. Bleak times ahead. I honestly believe this is all in preparation for Iran, guys and girls. I honestly believe this is all in preparation for Iran. Good evening, Bob. Hi, Duncan. Someone needs to bell Bellingcat. Yeah, there's a guy called Graham Phillips from the UK who's done some really good work on Bellingcat. He actually turned up at their offices once, which is literally just an office I've forgotten his name now, Elliot Higgins, I think his name is. And I've reached out to him, but as yet he hasn't responded. So I'm hoping to get him. I'm hoping to get him on, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. But I've got enough information now to be able to certainly cover the basics on Bellingcat and who they are and why they are not to be trusted. Norman Kerner says, read Venezuela Analysis. It is the only English language news organisation that has reporters living in Venezuela. Venezuela Analysis is excellent. I'm subscribed to it. Teleserve is pretty good on Venezuela as well, obviously. But yeah, Venezuela Analysis is good. And for Syria, Syriana Analysis is really, really good. For any of you who... Gordon, have you heard about the F-35 fight situation? Haven't they grounded them, Wayne? Because the Russians have given Syria the S-400s? I heard that. I think it was yesterday. I heard that. I think they've grounded the F-35s to have a refit because they're worried about the the Russian S-400s which have been given Syria. From what I'll have to look into that more. The Random Gamer says, we have rejected an offer apparently, but I assume that's on Brexit. I do not know the details, but I heard about it an hour ago, waiting for the details. We have rejected an offer. Stands to reason that would happen. I'll look into it more. Keith Durant says, the Rohingya are complicated. No shit, Sherlock. That's why I haven't covered it. It's something that needs a hell of a lot of in-depth... To understand any sort of conflict, anything, whether it be Iran, Syria, Venezuela, anywhere in the world, to understand any sort of conflict, you have to understand the history behind it, and sometimes you have to go back centuries to understand it, and I just haven't got that time to be able to do that deep dive. So I'm hoping to be able to get somebody on who's has got extensive knowledge and has written about it on multiple occasions. So hopefully that will come up in the next week or two. We'll watch Jimmy later, says Mick. Thank you, man. Make sure you do that. Make sure you do. Norman Kerner says, yes, Gordon, thanks for mentioning Teleserve English, which also has English language reporters living in Venezuela. Teleserve is really good. Teleserve was inaugurated and sort of it was a joint venture between Cuba, Castro and Venezuela, and they basically set up Teleser to fight the Western propaganda that comes from the US and the UK. That's why Teleser was set up, which is why now when you go into watch videos on, for instance, on the Empire Files or Teleser, you've got to log in and age verification and all that sort of thing. They're trying desperately to suppress anybody who really is telling the truth, especially about war. I don't know how many people are here. I am going to get to this first story there. Thank you, Jeremy. Just because smoke weed every day, he says. I agree. I agree. I agree. I am going to get to this story, guys. You're going to love it. Guys and girls, I must remember that. Are you ready? Assange's communications partly restored. So Julian Assange, who has been under arbitrary detention in the Ecuadorian embassy in London for going on, I think, 7 years now. I think it's almost 7 years, or just over 8, for essentially telling the truth about American war crimes. Remember, WikiLeaks were the people who released the files that showed, from the leak from Chelsea Manning, and released the files of that gunship shooting down the Reuters journalists. That's why they want him. They want him for that. Ever since he released that and released how badly America were committing these war crimes, they've been after him. And he's been in the embassy for 7 years almost, I think. In March, his communications were cut off. Now, I find the timing of his communications being cut off in March really interesting. Really interesting, because they said it was because he was outspoken with regards to the goings-on in Catalonia, in Spain, and that's the reason why they cut off his communications. But remember, this was all during the same time as the whole Skripal affair was falling down around the UK's ears, and just before the trilateral bombing of Syria and everything else that has gone on in between, the silencing of voices, the silencing of independent voices on social media, yada, yada, yada. I don't need to go into it. You can see where I'm going here. The silencing of Assange, the timing of it is really curious. So when I see this, Julian Assange's communications partly restored by Ecuadorian government, literally an hour and a half ago, I got goosebumps. I was giddy. I really was. For any of you who are just... Let me just try and imagine, okay? Put yourself in his shoes. He has been in solitary confinement for 7 months. That is torture. It's torture. Prison guards say that when they walk down the isolation ward in prisons, they can hear people wailing because of the torture they're going through. The only contact he's got is with his lawyer. And obviously on a weekend, that's it. The whole weekend, nothing. No communication with the outside world, no phones, no internet, nothing. Nothing whatsoever. And finally, something has happened. So this is from the Belfast Telegraph. The first newspaper to report on this today was the Daily Mail, and I had that set up, but I took it out as soon as other newspapers started reporting on it. So this is what the story is so far. The Ecuadorian government has decided to partly restore communications for WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. They were cut in March, denying him access to the internet or phones and limiting visitors to members of his legal team. He has been living inside Ecuador's embassy in London for over 6 years. The Ecuadorian government said in March it had acted because Mr. Assange had breached a written commitment made to the government at the end of 2017 not to issue messages that it might interfere with other states. WikiLeaks said in a statement, quote, Ecuador has told WikiLeaks publisher Julian Assange that it will remove the isolation regime imposed on him following meetings between 2 senior UN officials and Ecuador's President Lenin Moreno on Friday. This is from Christine Ranson. I can never pronounce her name. She said this: it is positive that through UN intervention, Ecuador has partly ended the isolation of Mr. Assange through its, although it is of grave concern that his freedom to express his opinions is still limited. The UN has already declared Mr. Assange a victim of arbitrary detention. This unacceptable situation must end. The UK government must abide by the UN's ruling and guarantee that he can leave the Ecuadorian embassy without the threat of extradition to the United States. Hear, hear. Mr. Assange has been granted political asylum by Ecuador, but believes he will be arrested if he leaves the embassy and extradited to the United States for questioning over the activities of WikiLeaks. Remember, WikiLeaks is a journalistic operation. This is an assault on journalism. WikiLeaks said Mr. Assange has not entered into any form of agreement with Ecuador to restrict his speech or other rights. I always found it interesting. I always thought there's no way Julian Assange would agree to that. His lawyers are considering his legal options and will make a statement in due course. The WikiLeaks statement said that the meetings were held in Ecuador between the President of the UN High Commissioner and refugees Filippo Grandi and UN Special Rapporteur for the Freedom of Expression David Kaye. It said concern over Assange's situation has been raised by other UN bodies as well as Human Rights Watch, who was refused access to him, Amnesty International, the Inter-American Court on Human Rights, Ecuador's Permanent Human Rights Commission, and public protests. Quote, Mr. Assange was informed of Ecuador's decision hours after Mr. Grandi and Mr. Kaye met with President Moreno. President Moreno ordered Mr. Assange's isolation on March 28th in retaliation for giving, quote, opinions on the politics of friendly nations like Spain or the United States. The statement continued, quote, Mr. Assange had critically reported on the Trump administration's involvement in Yemen and Spanish brutality. High-level representations were made by the Trump administration and the Spanish government over Mr. Assange, which was given political refugee status by Ecuador in 2012 over US attempts to prosecute him. The Trump administration stepped up efforts to prosecute Mr. Assange after WikiLeaks published the largest leak in the history of the CIA last year. The US has announced that it now considers Ecuador a strategic ally and helped it secure $1 billion in previously withheld loans. Sounds like they got the loans and then did it anyway. That's what it sounds like. For almost 7 months, Ecuador has kept Mr. Assange in a regime that has been likened to solitary confinement by Human Rights Watch. See, it's not just me who says it's solitary confinement. Ecuador has prevented Mr. Assange from receiving visitors other than his lawyers. It installed 3 sets of signal jammers in the embassy to prevent Mr. Assange from communicating using mobile phones or internet. The extrajudicial 7-month isolation of Mr. Assange has interfered with his fundamental rights and the other rights of his family. It has also prevented Mr. Assange from working and giving public talks. Ecuador has also prevented all journalists from speaking to him during this time. Ecuador's president until last year, Rafael Correa, has denounced Mr. Assange's treatment as torture, which is what I call it, stating the government is basically attacking Julian's mental health. Ecuador has informed Mr. Assange that the government intends to continue Moreno's policy of restricting him from expressing his opinions under threat of expulsion. Now, this comes after, obviously, the meeting with the UN officials, as it says in this article. It also comes after, on Friday, Ecuador gets UN praise for freedom of expression, as Assange was still gagged in the embassy, which was kind of hilarious, to be quite honest. And then there was this article in Sputnik as well, which highlighted how Julian Assange's lawyers were going to, whether they still are, were going to sue Ecuador and its Ecuadorian foreign minister, which is, this all happened on, I think, last week. And I'll leave a link down to the article when I actually cut this and put it out as a video. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is the best news I have seen for a long, long time. This is huge. We have desperately been in need in the last 7 months, more than any time I can remember over the last few years, certainly since I've been interested in politics. We have desperately needed his voice more than any time now. And the fact that he's going to partly get his communications back is a good thing. Now, how much of his communications he's going to get back, we haven't got those details yet. I'm sure that when the statement comes out from his lawyers, we'll find out, and it wouldn't be surprised if come tomorrow we're actually getting tweets from Julian Assange's account that are actually being written by Julian Assange. But this is brilliant news. I cannot stress this enough. He's a goddamn journalist. He's a journalist. Perhaps the best journalist in the world, because he has provided a platform for whistleblowers who want to blow the whistle on criminal activity from governments, from Western governments and other governments around the world, want to blow the whistle on criminal activity of their own government. He provides an avenue for them to leak documents to him without the fear of them ever being found out. That is journalism 101. He obviously has to check that everything is perfect and above board from the leaks that he gets, which I can only imagine is an absolute monumental task, especially when every week they must get information from people which is false, just trying to catch them out, which makes it even more amazing to me that everything they've published is true. Everything. Can you say the same thing about any outlet? Any outlet. CNN, BBC, Fox, MSNBC. Can you say any of them? God, you just reel down the list of the corporate news. Can you say that they have never published anything that's false? No. But you can with Julian Assange, and you can with WikiLeaks. And this is why it's so important at this time when we are, let's face it, so close right now to global annihilation. It's so important that we have his voice at this time. Well done, the UN. It's not very often I say that, but it certainly seems like this meeting, which I thought wasn't going to have any sort of influence at all, it certainly seems like they have managed to strike some sort of a deal. And I, for one, am happy with it. And I want to give a special shout out here to the people who have made that picture. You can see there, #Unity4J. The people, #Unity4J, especially Elizabeth Lee Voss and Susie Dawson, have been relentless in exposing this, relentless in shining the spotlight on his mistreatment. And I just want to say a big thank you to those two people and everybody in the Unity4J movement who have not given up, and if anything got more and more, dug their heels in more and more and done more and more work, and it looks like it's going to pay off. So we shall see. I won't believe it until it happens, until I start seeing him tweeting and start seeing him on television again and making, and giving interviews. But this is great news, and I, for one, am absolutely over the moon with it, and I'm sure you are too. How are you guys? Are you enjoying this? Let's dive into the comments and see how we are. Jeremy Chase, you make you may call me a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Shahid Rahman says, I heard Khashoggi that got murdered was the brother of Adnan Khashoggi, the arms dealer. Nephew, I believe, Shahid. I heard that too. Can't confirm it, but I heard he's the nephew. I also heard he's got ties to the CIA as well, Khashoggi. The way you pronounce his name is Khashoggi, or something like that. So I'm going to call him Khashoggi. Yeah, two's time, Unity4J. Massive thank you to them for their tireless work. There are thousands of people who are involved in the Unity, who have been involved in that movement. The vigils they do, I think they've done 4 vigils for them. One of them lasted about 2 days, I think, or something like that. Just a big thanks to all of them. Big thanks to all of them. Just scroll up, see how you all reacted to that. It looks like you're all very happy. Why is everybody singing? Everybody's singing John Lennon. But I'm not the only one. Cypher Skunk says, I find Sarah Sanders kinda hot for some reason. To each their own. To each their own. Shahid Rahman, and he has the same grandfather as Dodi Fayed. I'm going to do a more deep dive on this Khashoggi guy, because all is not what it seems with him. He supported the terrorists in Syria. I'm conflicted, says Jeremy Chase. Norman Kerner says MBS's brother in the is the Saudi Arabian ambassador to the US, and told Khashoggi when he went to the embassy in Washington time to go to Turkey instead. Ambassador to the US told him to go to the Turkey instead of Washington. Really? Oh dear me. Nothing's ever what it seems on face value, is it, with the news that's going on at the moment? Nicholas Kuyuma, I'm going to try and get your name right here, Nicholas. I'm very sorry if I butcher it. Nicholas Kuyumjian. Kuyumjian? It's outrageous the way Assange has been treated by the authorities. It is outrageous. I think outrageous is not strong enough word for it. It's criminal, is what it is. Literally criminal. It's a crime what they're doing, and I'm so happy. I really am. I'm so happy. I'm not going to be, until it's official, and like I say, we don't know what communications he's got back. They say partly, but any sort of, I'm thinking more of his mental health than anything else it will be good for, because his mental health during the last 7 months must have deteriorated somewhat. Must have. I'm hoping that some dentist is going to go there and sort out his root canal. I mean, they can take the equipment in and do his root canal there, so they must be stopping him from receiving the dental care he needs. They must be, otherwise they would have set up a surgery in the embassy to do it. Just a thought. You may say I'm a dreamer. Love that. It's one of my favourite songs of all time, that is. Just go back down to where I was. The Matt Dimitri, hi Matt, he says, Matt Dimitri show says Trump has increased drone bombings 435%. Thanks Assange for getting Trump elected. Thanks Assange for getting Trump elected by telling everybody the truth. You don't want the truth. You don't want to know how corrupt the Democratic Party is. You want to go la 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 la. Is that what you want, Matt? You know? Did you want, Hillary to win to become president and nobody to ever find out that the Democrats are rotten to the core and have the proof? He didn't get Trump elected. Neoliberalism got Trump elected. Asim Gilani, apologies for that, says, yes, he's a good journalist. Why do you think they want to punish him? He's the best in the world because nobody else can do it. Remember, Reality Winner leaked some stuff to The Intercept. Now, The Intercept is a great publication. It's a great online publication. I love it. It's got some really good journalists there. Lee Fong and Glenn Greenwald, for instance. Reality Winner leaked documents to The Intercept, and The Intercept do what Julian Assange does as well, and said to the CIA, are these documents true? And they just showed them the documents as they were presented to them. They instantly found out who Reality Winner was through that. Whereas if you look at a WikiLeaks dump, it's in raw code. It's not on the document. It's all transferred to raw HTML. So they can't actually find out where the document. You see, and that's how they got Reality Winner, as a result of The Intercept's bungling of it, shall we say. That's not happened with Julian Assange, not at all. There was obviously, one instance with Chelsea Manning, but that wasn't Julian Assange or WikiLeaks that were at fault there. That was Chelsea Manning had confided in somebody else as to what she had done, as to the fact that she'd leaked the documents to WikiLeaks. By the way, the guy that she confided, he's dead now. Just thought I'd let you know about that. He's a young man as well. Yeah, everybody is very happy with this. Hoodie Woman Louisiana says an ex. Hi, Hoodie Woman. It's a great point. This is WikiLeaks has never leaked info that endangered lives. Never. Really, really good point. It's just jumped on me. Whenever you see me go like, it just shocks me because it jumps on me. Mystery 1. My daughter at 3 years old with perfect teeth had emergency surgery for the Lycas. I was told she may go blind. For fuck's sake, happened overnight. Surely they can get a dentist to go in there, but they must be stopping him from getting the surgery, which is that's cruel and inhumane treatment. If they're stopping a dentist going in there and sorting out his root canal. If anybody's ever needed a root canal, you know how painful it is. There's only so much cocodamol can do. Lee Davenport, what time is the half-time break? Need a vegan sandwich. Don't have a break here, mate. I just power through because I'm like that. Martin Evans. This is something. Martin Evans he said something here. Right. I was on the JJ Up Let's Talk podcast when I first started this. After a few months, JJ kindly invited me on to do his podcast, and I said to him in that podcast, mark my words, Hillary Clinton is going to run in 2020. And Martin Evans has just said Hillary is getting to run again. The woman is psychopathic. They are doing a tour at the moment, Hillary and Bill Clinton. They're starting a tour. I think it starts this week. And guess when the tour ends? The tour ends in March 2019, when all the presidential candidates for 2020 start coming out in the March before the election. That's when their tour ends. She's getting ready to run again. I said it months ago. The woman's got... Oh, she's just impossible. She really is. Impossible. Wayne 90079 says, 4 US Special Forces killed yesterday in Syria. D-notice. I'll check that out, Wayne. Thanks for that, mate. No doubt the moon of Alabama will have something about that. Special Forces. I'll check that out. Thanks for that. Definitely I'll check that out. Thank you, Hugh. I really appreciate that. Thanks very much. To everybody who donated, really, thank you. I can't do this without you, so thank you. This is just stopped on me. Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks for saying that. Patricia Brannigan says, no, but Julian Assange did something that the elites think is worse. He leaked stuff that cost them a nickel. Cost them money. I think it was just leaking the truth. Remember, that's what they're after him. They're after him for the truth. You know, and people are pissed off at him for, you know, saying that he elected Trump. No, he reported the truth, is what he did. I find it ironic. I find it kind of curious that people on the so-called left vilify Julian Assange like that and say that he's the reason that Trump was elected. People on the so-called left say that, but the majority of people on the right support him, not because obviously Trump got elected, but they support him. They're supporting free speech, and the so-called liberals who are Hillary Clinton, you know, they're not. I'm not saying Matt is a centrist at all. You're entitled to your opinion, Matt, but however wrong it is. Yeah, appreciate that, Hugh. Thank you. Auntie War says she has bigger balls than Bill. She's going to run again. They're going to rig it again, and they're going to lose. They're going to rig it against Bernie, and they're going to lose. I'm not sure whether if they do rig it against Bernie, they could rig it enough now. I think Carl Kalinske says that. I think he says if Bernie does run, even if they do rig it against him, he's so popular he'll still win. They'll just stop him from running. They'll say he's a Democrat not in good standing. They'll find a reason. The Democrats are corrupt, you know, and this is not something that has just happened in the last 2 years. The Democrats have been corrupt. I've gone back all the way back to 1944, and they were corrupt then. You know, because they were corrupt then in 1944. You got Truman instead of forgotten his name. Somebody mentioned it. They got Truman instead of oh God, my memory's gone blank. I can't believe I've forgotten his name. And Truman and the setup of the CIA and the Cold War. You wouldn't have got that had the Democrats not been corrupt and done a backroom deal to make Truman FDR's vice president rather than Henry Wallace. I knew it had come to me. Was Henry Wallace? I think it's Mr. Wallace. We'll call him. I can't remember whether it's Henry or George. The Funkadelic fan says Americans loathe Hillary. The Funkadelic fan, it's more than just Americans. It's more than just Americans. I think anybody who's got any real idea around the world of what's going on in America and American politics will agree that, yeah, we'll loathe Clinton. Any thoughts on Andrew Yang running in 2020, says Michael Hostetler. Here come the Hostetler. I don't know who Andrew Yang is, unfortunately, Michael. Should I? The name rings a bell. Andrew Yang, who's that? Let me find out. The name rings a bell. Andrew Yang is an entrepreneur and author running for president as a Democrat in 2020. In 2011, he founded Venture for America and Natural Entrepreneurship. I don't know enough about him. I'll bookmark it. I'll look into it. Humanity first with the universal basic income. Ooh, socialist. Thanks for that. Thanks for the heads up on that, Michael. I'll have a look at that in the week. They're also staging a Hill and Bill show on Broadway starring John Lithgow and Laurie Metcalf, says B. Green. Oh, God. Dr. Winston O'Boogie. Dr. Winston O'Boogie. Great name. People on the left are brainwashed by mainstream media. Not just the left, mate. Everybody. Everybody, the left and the right, both are. Shahid Rahman says, good news, John McCain is still no longer with us. That rules him out for running in 2020. Good point. Ranta 7100, could we sneak Assange out in bags and then reassemble him later in safe house? Maybe Saudis could help there. Ooh! Ooh! Satire is always best when it's like that. Gemma Chase says, Democrats elected Trump. The end. Thank you, Jeremy. Absolutely right. Jimmy Timmy, the phrase, quote, it's better to live with an uncomfortable truth than with a comfortable lie. Yeah, very true. It's just jumped on me again. Ooh, stop jumping on me. Assistant Cheryl, I'm going to say Cheryl. I don't know whether it's Cheryl. I'm going to say Cheryl. Cheryl Brandon says, Assistant Secretary of USA Treasury Elliot Wansworth, quote, 10,000 Jews are selling booze without the law's permission to fill the needs of 1 million Swedes who voted prohibition in 1920. Don't know what that's in relation to, Cheryl, unfortunately. Funkadelic fan says she'll lose again. Yes, she will. Lee Davenport says Sanders is pro-Israel, he's a Zionist puppet. I'd say he's pro-Israel, certainly. I'm going to continue criticising Bernie Sanders, and I would much rather see Tulsi Gabbard run as the nominee rather than him. But that's not to say I won't support him if he does get the nomination, because he's streets ahead of everybody else, and he's obviously, in my opinion, streets ahead of Trump. Nobody's perfect. Bernie's pretty far from perfect. I thought he's further from perfect than I thought he was a year ago. Let's say that. The way he's been following the Russia line is atrocious, for instance. Anti-War says they'll run Elizabeth Warren to split the vote to allow superdelegates to elect Clinton. I think they would. I think it's more likely that they'll just stop him from running by saying he's not a Democrat in good standing anyway. I think it's more likely they'll do that, but that's definitely a possibility on Dewar. I know there are other people who've got that opinion. They'll run Elizabeth Warren, split the vote 3 ways so nobody gets a majority, and then Biden will win because he'll get the superdelegates in. Cheryl Brandon says, Digital Forensic Research Lab sounds very legit / very scientific, but they are in the censoring, smearing business. Watch them closely. Yeah. DFR Lab, that's the Atlantic Council's digital forensic lab. The people who are on Atlantic Council's board is just, Kissinger, for Christ's sake. Kissinger. And then a slew of ex-military and ex-CIA guys, I think Brennan's on there. It's just horrible, really is. And you're right, Digital Forensic Research Lab sounds very legit, and it's meant to sound very, very legit. It's not. Same as the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. Sounds really good. Sounds like this wonderful charity that does, great work in Syria. It's just a geezer in Coventry about 25 miles up the road from me, working from his house. I mean, I'm not saying that he's doing a bad job at all. That's the thing. I'm not saying he's doing a bad job. For all intents and purposes, from what I can hear, he's actually doing quite a good job. And he's doing the best he can do in the circumstances, but it's still just one guy, I'm honestly considering changing the name of my channel to, maybe the Syrian Observatory for a Free Press or something like that, in the hope that I'll start getting, 180,000 in government funds as well, like he has. I think it was like £80,000 in government funds he got. I should change my name to the Syrian Observatory for Free Press. What do you think, guys? I'm never going to do that. Jeremy Chash, yeah, thank you. Henry Wallace, yeah, I got there. Joe Hickey. Tom Perez has the final veto. I'm Bernie anyway, so it's all bullshit. We lead with our values. When we put hope on the ballot, we win. Can't stand that guy. Astro says your Iran video was amazing. Great job, Gordon. Thank you, Astro. That is, apart from the upcoming climate change video, that Iran video was the video I spent the most time on, because I knew how important it was, and I'm fucking beating myself up. You have no idea how much I beat myself up because let me just you have no idea how much I beat myself up because I got Hermione the wrong way around, or however you pronounce them. Persian names are hard for Westerners to pronounce when they're so similar. Truly progressive. Why not run again? She's got all the corrupt forces in place. She's going to run again. The woman doesn't know when to quit. The random gamers, where do you get your information from? I am interested. I get my information from hundreds of sources. Hundreds. I do get my information from mainstream media as well. Abby Martin explained this beautifully on a live stream with Jimmy Dore, how to actually interpret what is actually going on in the world, because every country has its own state propaganda. The BBC is British state propaganda, CNN, MSNBC, it's American propaganda. Obviously RT is Russian propaganda. Al Jazeera is Qatari propaganda. It's you have to read 3 or 4 different articles and then sort of weave your way through and pick up the information from each one to be able to construct it, because the information is usually there in these articles. The information is usually there, but it's buried on paragraph 18 and it's one line, such as there is no evidence that Russia hacked the 2016 DNC servers. That will be in there right at the very bottom, and the headline will be DNC servers hacked by Russians, and then at the very end it'll say there's no evidence to say it. Now that should be the headline. So you have to sort of look at it and build a picture from it. And the more I do it, and I am still learning. Remember, I'm not the finished article by all means. I really am not. There's a long way to go. The more I do it, the better I'm getting at it. Although I do still make mistakes, as we all do. It's just jumped on me again. Let's just scroll up a bit. Have a swig. Joe Hickey, yes. Tim Canova is up against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I like the way you misspelt that. I'm looking forward to that one. Please, America. Please, if you're in America and you've got $1, send it to Tim. If just donate to his campaign. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is possibly the worst Democrat in the House, and that's saying something. She is the worst. She is evil, absolutely evil. He has to win that election. He has to. If he doesn't, it's going to be such a disappointment, because if he wins against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, that will send a shockwave through the Democratic establishment, much bigger than when Crowley was beaten by Ocasio-Cortez. I want to see Mr. T as president. I pity the fool that wants to see Mr. T as president. And the A-team are in the Senate, all paid actors in the USA Corps, says Lee Davenport. I pity the fool. Thank you, Dr. Winston O'Boogie, and thank you for the laugh at your cool name. Aren't you all? Liberals have their hair on fire about murdered journalist Jamal Khashoggi, while they promote killing or persecuting Assange. I found it interesting. I tweeted this out yesterday. There's collective outrage at the moment in the media, in the Washington Post, New York Times. There's collective outrage in the media over the murdering of this journalist. It's strange, isn't it? One journalist's life causes outrage. 1 million people in Yemen, suffering from cholera. Cholera, largest outbreak ever. It's well over a million in 2017. You know, millions displaced, tens of thousands dead, innocent, children bombed on buses, weddings, funerals double tapped. Doesn't matter. All of that, no outrage about that. They hardly covered it. One journalist. Just shows how morally bankrupt the Fourth Estate is. That's what I tweeted out yesterday. Astro says Tulsi is the new Bernie. I'm practically in love with that woman. Honestly. I just think she's wonderful. I think she's wonderful. Bellingcat needs to be exposed, says Barney. I'm on it. There's a guy on Twitter called Graham Phillips. He's done some videos on YouTube as well. I'm trying to get in touch with him, but he's dodging me at the moment. I would love to get him. I don't do interviews like that. I've had Jamal on, but he's a buddy of mine, you know. I really would like to start getting people on to interview, to explain things to me, because obviously I haven't got the time sometimes to research things. I've researched Bellingcat quite a bit extensively, but not as much as he spends his entire time researching them, and he knows what a shady operation they are. Lee Davenport says, who's your football team, Gordon? It used to be Man United, but I fell out of love with, I used to play for 3 football teams when I was younger, and then I found girls and booze and weed. So I've supported Man United ever since I was about 4 years old, I think. And that's no kidding. And the reason I supported Man United at 4 years old was because my brother, who I hated when I was growing up, obviously, because you hate your siblings, he was supporting Liverpool, I think. And Liverpool were playing Man United, and I hated my brother, so I said, right, okay, I'm going to support Man United. And it stuck. But I fell out of love with the game about 10, 12 years ago. Maybe even longer than that, when, they started diving way too much and arguing with the referee and that sort of. I've said it before on the stream. I like women's football now better than I like men's. But honestly, I don't really follow Manchester United or anything like that. The only football team now I look for the results of is Wolves. Just simply because that's where I live. But yeah, it used to be Man United, Lee. Bell-ending cack says, waive the rules. John Alneal says, today's Democrat Party would hate MLK if he were alive because of his faith. Modern Democrats are more into demon worshipping. It seems to me like today's Democratic Party hates everybody who actually wants to be democratic. Norman Kerner, Bellingcat is a cutout for the MI6 and the CIA. I've said this before, man. They got information on those 2 guys who were supposedly poisoned the Skripals. It's just so funny. It really is. That the whole thing is that's a hilarious explanation you've given, Theresa May. I'm sorry, it is. Even with all this, all the information about, I was watching something, and they said one of the guys that was exposed, I've forgotten his name now. When he got a medal from Putin, everybody in his village knew because his grandma showed it everybody. It's like, well, what does that prove? What does it prove? Before the information came out, before Bellingcat released this information, where they got that information from? I mean, this is from the passport office in the US with the numbers, in Russia with the numbers. How did they get that? Look in MI6, that's where they got it from. He's just a mouthpiece for MI6 and the CIA. You're absolutely right, Norman. Absolutely right. And that's that's basically how I'm going to be ending the video. I shouldn't really have said that. I'm giving it all away. He's just jumped again on me. Thank you, Hedy. The Dutch Minister of Defence said that we are in a cyber war with Russia. Yeah, our UK government said we are in an information war with Russia. They love to say war, Hedy. Thanks very much for your donation, mate. Really appreciate that. Where was I? Ooh, lots of comments. Must be lots of people here. I'm sorry if I missed. There we are. I know where I am now. MI6 are using their assets in the media to smear Corbyn. Yes, they are, Funkadelic. Yes, they are, before they grab him in for a reality check. Astro says, great impression. I do a few good impressions. I do. I'm not sure whether Tom Perez is one of them, but I do a few good ones. Astro says, I'm going to share the video with everyone, Gordon. Thank you very much. Yeah, like, please, share. Really helps. I'm getting no help from YouTube, obviously, you know, in all that sort of thing. So liking and sharing really helps the algorithm and to get more people on the page. Aziz says, what about Pelosi's Pago? Rubbish. You're absolutely right. It's rubbish. Pago basically means that, what Pago means is, because it's a fucking ridiculous financial restriction that they're putting on themselves, which basically makes sure and it ensures that no progressive or social or democratic socialist agenda is passed. That's basically what it ensures. So Pago, yeah, rubbish is the word. No way Gordon supports BWFC from the Midlands. I'm from the Midlands, Lee, yeah, you're right. Joe Hickey, observatory screams lovely big dome building, not some sweaty man in a tracksuit and some binoculars by the window. Yeah, it's propaganda. That is, you know, it's propaganda. I don't call myself, you know, the Syrian Observatory for Free Press, so I don't do that at all. This has just skipped on me again. Let me just try and... DWS sucks, says Francisco Raposa. It's worse than that. She sucks and blows at the same time, which I didn't think was possible. As this is this, Tim Canovery's pro-Zionist. I heard something about there was some sort of anti-Semitism row between him and somebody else, between him and some people. I don't know the situation with it, so I can't comment. Hoodie Woman says, there's a good detailed report on consortium news with numbers, percentages on Russian bots and Twitter interfering in the 2016 election. Consortium news is really good. Good outlet, consortium news is. Astro says, between Gordon, media, monarchy, Corbett, the last American vagabond, these guys have figured it out. Expect them to be blacklisted soon. Honestly, I have not got high hopes to stopping on YouTube. Honestly. Twitter and Facebook are doing it, man. Google, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. So my only hope is I can build up enough of an audience before it happens to be able to, you know, survive on my own platform. Or build up enough of an audience to survive on my own platform until somebody comes out with, you know, a decentralized social media platform. There are things in the works, like I think Inrupt was one, and there was another one I saw as well. People are working on it. Tim Berners-Lee is doing something as well. So I'm hopeful. I'm just hoping that I can stick around long enough to build an audience big enough until one of these other platforms actually, you know, takes over and the next generation of social media comes, because these are a fad. Twitter, Facebook, they're a fad. They will eventually, you know, they're shooting themselves in the foot now. They will eventually lose out and go the way of things like MySpace. There will be something else that comes along that's an evolution of it. And I at this moment, I can't wait for somebody to actually do that. I mean, I've been on Steam in the past, but it just wasn't worth my time even uploading videos, because, you know, I think I made something like 21 cents in about 100 videos that I uploaded, and there wasn't enough views on it, so I've stopped uploading it because it was taking 10 minutes to just upload to their DTube platform on Steam it. So I'm hoping that either, you know, something like Steam it gets more people involved, or I'm just hoping that something is going to you know, be another viable option to YouTube. I would like to stop on YouTube. I would like them to sort their act out and stop, you know, and not silence these outlets. But they, you know, they have been, along with Facebook and Twitter, and they've been doing it in conjunction with each other. Miss Tree says there's no fourth estate. There is a fourth estate. No, it's dead. I said this. Where is it? Text bottom right. Boom. Fourth estate is dead. It's dead. You're absolutely right. It's just skipped on me again. Tony Gosling and Martin Summers will explain it, Gordon, says Joe Hickey. Okay. Tony Gosling, Martin Summers. Kinky says, am I being shadow banned? The fact that I can see you says, nope. Tony Gosling and Martin Summers. I'll check it out, Joe. Duncan McKeown, Debbie Washman Schultz is a corrupt incarnate. No kidding. Damn, man, this just jumped on me again massively. Right. Let's just try and get down to the bottom. When YouTube fails, come to BitChute. I think, you know, somebody bright spot will start something else. I'm sure they will. Robert Ho says, hi Gordon, any other good independent channels you recommend? Okay, here's my watch list. I don't watch as many as I used to. I unsubscribed from people like David Packman and etc. a while ago because I just didn't get a chance to listen to their stuff, and they, you know, even though they were right on a lot, you know, 90%, I agreed with them 90% of the time, another 10% I didn't agree with them, and they weren't giving me any information that I didn't already get from mainstream outlets, you know. Carl Kalinsky, obviously Jimmy Dore. If you want stuff on Syria, Vanessa Beeley, Eva Bartlett, Syriana analysis, Venezuela, obviously Venezuela analysis, and Telesur. And then there are other journalists that I get a lot of information from, like Abby Martin and Abby Martin and Mike Prisner, her fiance, who do the Empire Files. There's good sources of right-wing information as well. Lee Stranahan is excellent. It's multiple people. I think one day I'll put it all down, you know, and share it with everybody, just to say, you know, these are the people that I'm getting, you know, good information from. I'm sorry, it's just jumped on me and I can't say where I got that question from. I know, Duncan. It's Duncan McKeown. I know, it's terrible, man. The Russians are being so warlike now by moving their country so close to US aircraft carriers in the Baltic. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And the Iranians, have you seen how close that they've put their country next to all the US military bases? It was a meme that I saw a while ago. It's just hawkishness. It is. It's really strange. All the stuff that we've heard from Russia, especially over the Skripal case, they've been nothing but, you know, they've been so polite in the face of an onslaught. Francisco says, Francisco Raposa, cool name, Francisco. Have you listened to Slavoj Zizek's thesis on Packman's and Cedars critics on Jimmy Dore? No, I haven't. People who've been subscribers of mine since the beginning will know that I did a video, my third video went viral, and it was on Jimmy Dore and TYT. Jeremy Chase will tell you all about it. He was one of the ones that actually joined on, and I think Joe was as well. I did a video about Jimmy and TYT, and it got like 100,000 views and 1,500 subscribers I got from it, and that sort of gave me the base. I had no plans of doing this at all. I literally just picked up the phone one day and did a rant at a camera because Donald Trump had lied about our NHS, and I'd had some particularly good OG Kush that day. And I picked up and had a rant, and the next day I had the same thing happen with Justin Trudeau, and the next day I did another video and it went viral. And when it went viral, I saw what happened. I sat back and saw, and I'd done another video after that because Cenk had done a debate with Kyle about the Russiagate stuff, and Kyle wiped the floor with him. And so I did 2 videos there, so video 3 and 4 about that, and I got rather popular on the back of it. And when it happened and it went viral, I sat back and watched other people make videos about my video, and then other people make videos about their videos. And I took 10 days off, and I started thinking, well, if I'm going to do this, what do I want this to become? Do I want this channel to be a channel that comments on the commentators? And that's why I haven't commented on it. You guys know my feelings on it. You know my feelings. You know my feelings on David Pakman even before asking me. You know what I'm going to think. You know what I'm going to think about Sam Cedar even before you ask me. You know, Sam Cedar works for MSNBC. You know, or at least he's a contributor at MSNBC. He works on corporate radio, corporate TV. You know, David Pakman, I don't think I've got any information from him for a while that I haven't got from, you know, mainstream sources. So what's the point? What's the point of being an alternative source of information if you're not? So, and then when you've got that happening, and then you've got Jimmy Dore, whose star is on the rise, who's filling stadiums, who's filling venues, who's selling out everywhere he goes, who people are screaming at him to do tours around the world because he's got a world fan base. There's going to be a lot of jealousy there. So no, I haven't listened to Slavoj Zizek's thesis on Pakman's and Cedar's critics on Jimmy Dore, but there's one thing that I am sure of. The fact that Jimmy Dore is coming under so much heat at the moment, especially from people who are supposedly on the left, just tells me one thing and one thing only. He's doing the fucking right thing. He's doing things right. This is why people are attacking him. And he knows that. And I don't want to do my videos. I remember that coming up, and people who did videos, and Jamal did a video. I think Jordan Chariton did a video, Tim Black did a video, and it's like, do I want to be that? Do I want to be somebody who does videos on other people's, comments on the commentators? I just thought, no, I'm not. I'm not going to do it. And even though I did that video, I didn't do that video. I knew that if I did a video, it would get at least 30,000 views on it. I knew it would. You look at Jordan Chariton here, I think he's up to 100,000 views on his video about the situation with them now. And I'm not saying that these guys actually were doing anything to just get clicks. You know, Tim Black actually said that right at the beginning of his video. He did a really good video on it, by the way, Tim Black. I don't want to be one of those people. I don't want to be somebody who comments on the commentators, which is why I've, to this point, stopped quiet. So hopefully that I don't know who's Slavoj Zizek is there, Francisco, so I'll have a look at it. And this just skipped on me all the way about to the bottom. The Real News is a really good channel too, says Francisco as well. Yeah, it is. The Real News is excellent. The Real News is very good. They've got 3 great presenters, and 2 of them are brilliant reporters. Shamini Perez, who's from Baltimore, she did some great interviews. And then you've got Aaron Mate, who, Christ man, I don't ever want to get into a Twitter argument with that guy, because he'll just wipe the floor with you with facts. Everybody I've seen disagree with him on Twitter. He is absolutely mauled. It's like, please don't ever disagree with anything I say, Alan, because if you do, then I'm going to have to change my position probably. And obviously Ben Norton as well. They're great, the Real News are. I totally agree with you. Don't forget about Caitlin Johnson, says Martin Evans. Good point. Good point. There are so many. There are so many good. Jordan Chariton is another one. You know, there are so many great sources. There are too many to list. With regards to people like me who put videos out, you know, you got Jamal Thomas, Jamal Thomas for, you know, world events. And then you got Jimmy and Carl for obviously, you know, anything to do. Carl Clinch is so good on foreign policy. And there's a guy in Canada, David Dole. He's really good as well if you want to get any Canadian information. Well, he used to be really good. I'm not sure whether he's still. Gun Democrat will be fine. Stay with anyone who believes in the people, all those you mentioned. Thanks, mate. Astro Hoodie says the Saudis killed another bus full of innocent people the other day, yet the narrative is still this one guy. Why? Because he's a diplomat. Don't let media direct your focus. Exactly, dude. It's worse than that. I saw a report today. They bombed a fucking beekeeping sanctuary in Yemen. A beekeeping sanctuary. Was it a beekeeping? I think it was Yemen that did it. Yeah, they bombed a beekeeping sanctuary. Killed a family of people. Corbett report says Why the Rules. He's really good. I've seen a couple of his. He does long. I think I've seen a couple of his. I think he was one of my go-to sources on the white helmets. He's done some brilliant work on the white helmets, along with the aforementioned Vesibili. And then Joe's just reeling off another load of great people: John Pilger, Chris Hedges, Mark Blythe, Richard Wolf. There are so many, but you've got to be able. I'll do a list. I'll maybe do a video one day. Hooray for the OG Cushers, Astra. Oh man, this just jumped on me massively. Stop jumping on me! Stupid thing. Whatever the rules, Mark Blythe is cracking. I love that guy. I must have watched 24 hours minimum of his lectures. The guy is amazing. He really is. He really is. Eventually they'll come for you. Love is all we read. Alan Carter says, I think Empire Files has now been pulled, no money. Incorrect, Alan. Empire Files crowdfunded. They'll be releasing videos again soon. Yeah, they crowdfunded and the people helped them out. That was great news. Gordon, do you listen to or follow Patrick Little? I don't know who Patrick is. Shahid. It's another one I'll have a look at. Patrick Little. Great, my pencil's just... Communist Carrot says Jimmy Dore is a comrade. He's my hero, he's the guy. Stop jumping on me. Come on, I want to speak to as many people as possible. Joe Hickey, at Gordon Nimmock, glad to be part of something good from the beginning, mate. Thank you so much. Yes, he is funny, Funkadelic fan. Partisan Girl is another one, Cheryl. Yes, she's very good. Partisan Girl is. Sarah Abdallah, she's another one. Just trying to scan these and get down to the bottom. Oh, thanks, Aziz. That's really nice. Keep the keep the compliments coming. I'll never get bored of them. Thank you. Does Britain have net neutrality? Yes, we do, B Green. We also have much better internet than America. America has internet of the level of Estonia. You kidding me? Estonia's got better internet than America. Yeah, we've got good internet. I mean, mine's ridiculously fast. It's like 200 megabits per second or something like that. Keith Duran, thanks very much, mate. You're gonna have a look. You're gonna have a look at Doctor Who. Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, keep on top of that, NED. Yes, Graham Elwood is very good as well, Sinead. Stop jumping on me. He's jumping like crazy. Robert Ho, Chris Hedges is the most intelligent current contributor to discourse, in my opinion. Chris Hedges is just he's so good. He really, I've got to get his book. I've got to get his book. Sorry, this has jumped on me again. Geez, your Scottish accent was pure shite. Sorry, Jimmy. Sorry, Scottish accent is not one of the accents I can do. I try and do Welsh as well, but it always comes out sounding like Pakistani for some reason. Alright, I'm getting down to the bottom now. Mara Assumans Oswarman, I've forgotten the name now, Cheryl. Yeah, they are very good. Thank you, Patricia. Can always go and watch it later. Do a Welsh accent. No, it'll come out Pakistani. The only accent I can do from this country is Liverpudlian, I think. There is something else I want to get to, actually. I had another story lined up. So, universal credit, the system that is being rolled out through the rest of the country in the UK over the next 12 to 15 months, that is causing massive problems with the poorest people in this country, the most vulnerable, the disabled, the mentally ill. It's causing people to take their own lives. It's causing mass poverty, and it's causing mass problems for the poorest and most vulnerable in society in the UK. And it's also causing food bank usage to go through the roof. Food bank usage under the Tory government is increasing 13% year on year in areas where universal credit hasn't been rolled out in this country. It's 13%, as I said in a video the other day. In areas where universal credit has been rolled out, food bank use has shot up to 52% more. It's increased by 52% year on year. It's getting to the stage now where it's ridiculous. And I saw this today, which just breaks my heart. It just absolutely breaks my heart. School opens its own food bank over universal credit hunger fears. We don't want hungry children, the school's vice principal said. I want to read this article because this is something really is a bugbear for me. A school in Middlesbrough has revealed that it is launching its own pop-up food bank over fears that the introduction of universal credit in the region will leave children hungry as parents are made to wait several weeks for any initial payment. Can you believe this? Schools are having to set up their own food banks to make sure the kids are fed. Universal credit, which replaces 6 legacy benefits including tax credits and housing benefit with one single monthly payment, is being rolled out across Teesside despite criticism of the new system and growing evidence that it will leave millions of households in the UK worse off. Craig Wright, assistant principal of the Outward Academy, told Teesside Live, "We will be launching a pop-up food bank to coincide with the rollout of universal credit." Just let that sink in. Schools, where, you know, poor people in Teesside goes to school. This is an impoverished area of the country. We know that universal credit will affect our families in our community, and the 6-week wait especially will mean lots of our families will suffer in that time with a lack of resources. We're launching a pop-up food bank which will help to meet the needs in whatever way we can. The school currently teaches around 700 pupils, 65% of which are from low-income families and eligible for free school meals. We don't want hungry children, said the school principal, Anagola Swinton. Listen, let's just get to the end of this, Gordon. We hope that we can get as much support as possible. It will be anonymously done, so there will be no issue with regard to anybody feeling uncomfortable about coming and getting it. I appreciate you saying that it's going to be anonymous, Anagola, but anybody who's going to a food bank, whether it's anonymous or not, is going to be feeling a little bit more than just uncomfortable, I'm afraid. It's going to be making them feel like worthless, to be quite honest. We just genuinely want to make sure that the children of this academy and the children of our local feeder primaries, as well are fed throughout the time when money is going to be a significant issue to many. She added, our concern was we will have families with no provision for potentially 6 weeks. This is about our community. Everything we do is about sustainability. Our day-to-day work is about raising children's aspirations. And the government are going ahead with this anyway. They're going ahead with the rollout of this universal credit system despite the fact that it's failing. It's not fit for purpose. It really is not fit for purpose. Whether you believe in a welfare state or not, this is criminal. This is persecuting the poorest people and the most vulnerable people of society with these austerity cuts by the Tories. It is disgusting, and they should be ashamed of themselves. And this story just epitomises how bad the situation is getting, where you've got schools, public schools, opening food banks to be able to feed the kids in preparation for rollout of universal credit in their own area. This is disgusting, and it's got to go the way of the poll tax. And if it means that we have to get out in the streets, so be it. It's got to go. The poll tax was terrible on the poorest of this country, and so is universal credit, or as I like to call it, the Tory final solution. I'm back, guys. I go into a little zone, don't I, when I'm doing a little segment. Hi, Frank. Evening, Gordon. What can we realistically do as British citizens to get rid of the Tories ASAP? Start locally. Start locally. What can we realistically do to get, as British citizens, to get rid of the Tories ASAP? I haven't got a definitive answer for you, Frank, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do that into a video, mate. How's that? What can we do to kick out the Tories? Because there's so much we can do. It's not coming to my mind now. Shit. Pencils. I promise I'll do a video on that this week, mate. So make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for the question, mate. Hoodie Woman, UC sounds like it was designed in America. If so, they want the lower 30% to just die. Little bit of a fact for you, Hoodie Woman. When the Tories brought in these austerity measures, what they did is they employed a company to do something called fit for work assessments in 2008. Okay, the company that they employed, I believe, was called Atos, and this is a company that was kicked out of America for doing the same thing but badly. They were kicked out of America. They lost contracts in America for doing essentially the same thing as they were employed by the government over here to do. I'm pretty sure that this was 80s. Now, don't take my word on all of this. I'm going from memory. Okay, so if I do make a mistake, I apologise. Atos, it has come out since, and this has only come out in the last few days, I believe, that of all the women that had to go through these fit for work assessments, and you had people, for instance, who were veterans who came back from Afghanistan with no fucking legs, who went to a fit for work assessment, who were declared as fit for work. A year after coming back from Afghanistan with their legs blown off and PTSD and depression and all sorts of shit, Atos were declaring them fit for work. So unless they were going out every day, 16 hours, 30 hours, 40 hours a week, looking for work, they were getting the benefits payment stopped. I believe the stat was that I saw this week, of all the women that went through the fit for work assessments, 55% of them attempted suicide. So you're saying it sounds like it was designed in America. That's because it was. They want the 30% to just die. As Mark Blythe puts it, they don't care about the bottom. They threw the 30% overboard. They're now people to be nudged into different behaviours, as he puts it. They're people to be nudged and to be put on their council houses and to go to their public schools, which we don't want to pay for anymore. He's so good, Mark Blythe is. He's so good. Yeah. Nicky M, 5 weeks wait is the minimum. God, I hate it when it jumps on me like that. This is for universal credit she's talking about. Come on. 5 weeks wait is the minimum. I've heard some people with complex medical conditions wait 12 weeks to settle their claim and get any pounds. 4, 6, 7. I know people who it was 9 weeks. I know people who it was 9 weeks. Propaganda says, question, do you support Unity 4J? It's in support of Unity. Yeah. Look. Unity 4J. Yes, I do. Need a universal basic income, says James Lindsay. UBI is something I haven't made my mind up about it yet, but I'm open to it. I'm open to lots of different ideas. Going forward, something needs to be done. Something needs to be done. Driverless cars are coming to the UK in 2021. 2021, driverless cars will be on the road. That's the aim. How many jobs is that going to cost? All these people who are struggling now, working for Uber and these, you know, their jobs are going to go. And it won't take long before the lorry drivers' jobs will go. You know that the lorry driver, you know, the Tesla lorry, for instance, I mean, you know, the efficiency of it. I mean, it won't be so much in the UK, but certainly in the US, where you've got people driving on freeways from East Coast to West Coast. You know, you do that in a driverless car, instead of having a person there who can only drive 8 hours and then has to have a 16-hour break before they start again. Driverless car can just carry on going. You know, so when that happens, what's going to happen to the jobs? You know, where they're going to work? You got any ideas? Nobody's got any fucking idea. None of them. So it's stuff that we have to look at. Yeah, I'm on the fence about UBI, but not on the fence as I'm just undecided because I haven't really looked into it and gone through all the connotations of it in my head yet. But it's something that I am looking into, James. Thanks for bringing it up, though, mate. UBI is something that we've definitely got to look at. Campaign for Labour or momentum to get rid of the Tories. Talk to people, knock on doors, says Nicky. Thank you, Nicky. There's so much. There's so much information I want to put in that answer. I think I need to do a video on it. Shit, this just jumped on me massively again. Stop jumping. Thank you, B Green. Really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who's donating. I can't do this without you guys. I really can't. I can't go into the details of it because it would be against the rules, but let's just say the revenue I get from other sources is not nearly enough to be able to, you know, if it was just left that, I wouldn't be able to do this. I couldn't even, you know, things are bad as it is, but where the rule says, I will use my electric bike. I'm actually considering, I'm looking into electric bikes. I don't actually own a car anymore, because I'm a greenie, and I don't actually travel much anyway, and whenever I do, I can just go out and cycle. It's good exercise. I'm actually looking into that electric bike, because there are electric bikes now. There's one called, it's an American manufacturer that makes it. Is it the Zero? Electric motorbike, that is. And they are absolutely amazing. And the electric cycles that are coming out now, astounding. You can go like, 40, 50 miles on each charge with them. So I'm looking into that as well, Wave the Rules. Yeah, thank you, B Green. Agreed, Lawrence, thank you. Thank you, Amy. I really appreciate it. I really do. Sinead B. Kelly. Sinead B. Kelly. Gordon. Streamlabs and Patreon don't censor, demonetise Graham Elwood. Left 2 platforms. Is detoxing from YouTube. Good on you, Graham. Good on you. Can you upload videos direct to Patreon? If you can, that's a good idea. But I'd probably have my own. I've still got to set up my website. I'm really dragging my feet on that. I've got to set my website up because I want to set up. It's the autoresponder and the email list and whatever that's taking a problem, that's causing a problem. I'll get onto that at the beginning of next month and get the website set up and put all my stuff on a website and centralise it. I'm actually thinking about maybe even setting up a website where I can, or the avenues where I get information on, actually putting them in some sort of algorithm so it can pull whenever they drop anything new, it pulls their stuff and puts it in, on the website. So I'm looking into that. That's why it's taking time to relaunch the website, but it's coming certainly by the end of next month. Lee Davenport says, this is interesting. Driverless cars won't happen. The Uber trial saw it run a woman over dead. They are being sued for millions. Okay, Lee, driverless cars are inevitable. It will. When you've got cars on the roads moving, it's inevitable that people are going to get hit. And if one lawsuit is not going to change anything. There was one where a woman was run over by a Tesla. Was it in Texas? It was somewhere in America. And it might even be, was it Uber? No, it was Tesla, this one was. And I saw the footage of it. And it's obviously got the camera that what the car saw. You saw the woman crossing the road, and it was sort of in the middle of 2 street lights, and it was dark, and the car was going 50, 60 mile an hour. You saw the woman, literally the frame before, when you slowed it down, there was a frame, all of a sudden she was there, car hit her. The computer in the car couldn't even register, it didn't even see her with enough time to hit the brakes. So there's no way a person would be able to do it. So even though you're going to get the occasional crash with a driverless car, you're going to get the occasional accident, it's inevitable. They are going to bump into things. They are still going to be far, far more safe than a person driving or people driving cars, because what's the number one cause of crashes on the road? Driver error. They're inevitable, Lee. I understand what you're saying there with the woman and they're being sued for millions, and yes, they will get sued, but it's not going to stop, because although they might get sued for millions, driverless cars are going to make them trillions or billions, maybe. So it is inevitable. I understand you saying that, but I do think that you're wrong on that. We'll see. 2021. That's what they say in the UK. Lawrence, thank you very much. Gordon, you are my antidepressant. Thank you, man. Thanks very much. My antidepressant's called Mexican Airlines. Only certain people will know what that means. Don't worry about it, waive the rules. If you can't afford it, don't, I don't want to take money off people who are struggling. Cypher Skunk. It's not that much, but that's why. Wave the rules, I beat my iron. Does 40 mile an hour on an electric bike. Oh, it'd be brilliant. It really would. Yes, thank you, Sinead. Please like the stream. We've got some Jeremy Corbyn supporters in here singing. Oh, stop it. Stop jumping on me. Right, getting down to the bottom now. Just start accepting Bitcoin, Litecoin using Coinbase Commerce and avoid the fees from PayPal and Patreon. Fees from PayPal and Patreon are not bad at all. Patreon's about I think I lose about 4% of the money, 4 or 5%. It's a tiny little bit. PayPal's if you just send it through PayPal, it's 2.5%, something like that. No, it might be about 5% because then you've got the percentage when you cash out as well. So it's about 5% with them. Yeah, times that by 6, and you'll see what I mean for Google. People will not use driverless taxis. Says they will. Honestly, they will. People go on driverless trains now. They'll go on driverless taxis. They will. Oh, I such a some. Red Corvair, yes, but Elon smokes weed on air and stocks plunge. I think that guy's an absolute genius. I really do. I think he's a strange fruit. I think he's borderline autistic, isn't he? I think Elon Musk. I don't mean that as a negative thing. He's borderline autistic. Let me just take that off. I think he's an absolute genius. What time are you finishing tonight? When I get down to the bottom of these comments, mate. So I'm not that far off, I don't think. Stop jumping on me, this stream. Yeah, Martin, I'm just wrapping up now. I'm just getting down to the bottom. Pissed up people cannot use computers in driverless taxis, says Lee. We'll see, Lee. We'll see. I'll put a bet on it with you. They won't. Trust me. We'll see. Alright, I'm just getting down to the bottom now. I'm going to wrap this up. I bet you 100 quid, Gordon. Now, I know driverless cars in the UK by 2022. There you go. You're on. 100 quid, Lee. There you go. I bet you 100 quid. 2022. I will hold you to it, by the way. I expect people to pay their wages. Thanks, Digital Tyranny. I appreciate that. Patricia, I do. I think driverless cars will be very common within the next few years. Right, I'm down at the bottom. As always, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who likes and shares and supports what I do. Astro says, what's your email? If you go to my it's gordondimmock@blueyonder.co.uk. If you go to my page on YouTube and go to the About section, the email's there. You just have to click and do a thing. Take care of your dog. I will do, Lawrence. Ellie, come here. The people want to say goodbye to you. Come here. Come up here. Oi. Oi. Come here. Hello. Say goodbye to everybody. Yeah, thanks very much, everybody. Literally can't do this without your support. On a personal note, I honestly feel like this is the first time in my life I've actually got a purpose without getting too wishy-washy. So yeah, I really truly appreciate it, and I love you all. Thanks very much for all your support, as always. Until next time, peace. Take care, everyone.